The officer thought he ruled the station and could humiliate anyone without consequences. He threw coffee in the face of a man he didn't even bother to identify. But when the truth came out, let's just say the look on his face was something those office walls would never forget. But let's start from the beginning. The Wilkstown police station was as dead as ever. Barely a squeak from the ancient ceiling fan and a radio mumbling something about traffic 2 towns over. Officer Bill Henderson sat at his desk, his shirt pulling at the seams, sipping his stale coffee like he was the king of this sad little castle. Bored and miserable, he looked for trouble to break the silence. And like magic, trouble strolled right in. The front door creaked open, and a tall black man walked in. His clothes, just a plain button-up and jeans, said *average guy. But something about him didn't match. The way he carried himself? Calm, composed, like he belonged wherever he stood. Bill took one look at him and decided he didn't like it. Well, look who decided to drop in, Bill sneered, pushing back his chair with a loud scrape. Lost your way to the unemployment office? Or you just figured you'd save us some gas and turn yourself in? Real thoughtful of you. The man stood still, his dark eyes locked on Bill. What exactly are you accusing me of? Bill let out a dry laugh and spread his arms like he was putting on a show. Accusing you? My friend, guys like you walk in here and the charges practically write themselves. He glanced over at Todd, a rookie officer fumbling with paperwork. Todd, grab this one and bring him to my office. I want a proper chat. The man's jaw tightened. You're violating protocol. Bill's grin stretched wider. He stepped closer, his voice dropping just low enough to sound dangerous. Protocol? You think the rules apply to you? No, sir, people like you don't get the benefit of protocol. Todd hesitated, his gaze flickering between the 2 men. Sir. Now, Todd, Bill barked. The younger officer jumped to attention, grabbing the man's arm with obvious reluctance. The black man didn't resist, but the calm in his expression, like he wasn't even bothered, put Bill's teeth on edge. As they led him toward the hallway, Bill called out with a nasty chuckle. Better get comfortable, buddy. I've got all day and my coffee's still warm. The man didn't look back, didn't say a word, but that silence? It was the loudest thing in the room. A few minutes later, Bill strutted into his office, coffee in hand. Todd and another officer had already sat the man down in the rickety chair across the desk. Bill tossed himself into his own seat and set the coffee down with a loud thunk. You know, I could have been on my lunch break right now, Bill began, tilting his head. But here we are, and you haven't even told me your name. Should I just go with Troublemaker number 47? Or do you prefer something shorter? The man's face remained unreadable. I don't think this is legal. Bill barked out a laugh. Legal? You walk in here acting like you've got rights. Tell you what, once you explain why you're here, maybe I'll consider pulling out the rule book. But until then? He leaned forward. This is my office, and I make the rules. The man sat up straighter. You're crossing a line. Bill's smile vanished. Am I now? He grabbed his coffee, took a slow sip, then, without warning, threw the rest of the cup straight at the man. A stunned silence filled the room. Coffee dripped down the man's face, staining his shirt. Todd froze, eyes wide with panic, and the other officer looked like he wanted to disappear. The man calmly wiped his face with the back of his hand, his gaze fixed on Bill. Not angry, not shocked, just steady asterisk. And that rattled Bill more than anything else. Bill's office was a mess, the kind of room where the smell of stale coffee and old paper hit you like a brick wall. Piles of disorganized files sat on the desk, a cracked nameplate reading Officer Bill Henderson, half buried underneath. A coffee stain on the wall suggested that Bill had a habit of using his cup as a projectile. Sitting behind the desk, Bill leaned back in his creaky chair with a smug grin plastered on his face. Across from him, the black man sat, calm and composed, his hands resting on the arms of the chair like he was sitting through a routine meeting. Bill wasn't having any of it. You know, Bill started, pretending to sift through random papers, guys like you are like weeds, always popping up where you don't belong. You think you're smart, huh? You walk in here with your little attitude staring me down, acting like you know your rights." He dropped the papers with an exaggerated sigh and leaned forward, pointing a thick finger. "But let me tell you something. You step through that door, you play by my asterisk rules, and guess what? I'm the only one keeping score." The man didn't move, didn't blink. Bill narrowed his eyes, his patience starting to fray. "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Or were you too busy last night smashing windows and stealing TVs to come up with a decent story?" Nothing. Just that same steady, unnerving stare. Bill leaned back and forced out a laugh. "You're not even going to deny it? Wow, that's bold. Real bold." He shook his head in mock amazement. "You know, guys like you make this job way too easy." "I didn't do anything," the man said quietly, his voice steady as ever. Bill's grin dropped. For a beat, his face twisted into something darker. "Oh, I bet you didn't. You people never do, right? Always innocent." The room went quiet. Todd, who stood off to the side, shifted nervously on his feet, looking like he wanted to be anywhere but here. Bill, clearly enjoying the silence, grabbed his half-empty coffee cup, swirled the dregs around, and took one last sip. Then, in a move so quick it made Todd jump, he chucked the rest of the coffee straight at the man's face. The dark liquid splashed across his cheeks and shirt, dripping onto the floor. "How's that for hospitality?" Bill sneered, leaning back in his chair like he'd just won a prize. The man sat perfectly still. He didn't flinch. He didn't move to wipe his face, not at first. He just looked at Bill with those same unshaken eyes, as if the coffee hadn't even touched him. Then, with the slowest, calmest motion, he raised his hand, wiped his face clean with his sleeve, and set his arm back down. Todd's mouth opened like he wanted to say something, but no words came out. Even Bill, for half a second, looked unsure. And then the door burst open. Henderson. The voice hit the room like a slap. Standing in the doorway was none other than Chief George Kane, tall, broad-shouldered, with a stare that could melt steel. He was dressed sharp, his uniform pressed and perfect, and his face screamed authority. Bill jumped to his feet like a kid caught stealing candy. "Chief, didn't see you there. I was just—" Kane ignored him. His gaze snapped straight to the man in the chair, and for the first time all day, the chief's expression flickered with something close to panic. "Sir?" Kane said, his voice low, almost stunned. Bill froze. "Wait. Sir?" The black man pushed himself up from the chair slowly, deliberately. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small leather wallet, and flipped it open to reveal an official badge. "My name," he said, his voice calm but hard as iron, "is Marcus Williams, federal investigator." He turned toward Bill, and for the first time there was something new in his eyes, something sharp. "You just illegally detained and assaulted a superior officer." The color drained from Bill's face. "That's not—" "I didn't—" Marcus stepped forward, closing the distance between them. He held up a thick manila folder, flipping it onto the desk in front of Bill. "This is what I was here for. A federal investigation into misconduct and civil rights violations in this department. And congratulations, Officer Henderson. You just became Exhibit A." Bill looked like he might pass out. Todd's jaw hung open, and the room was so quiet you could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Chief Kane's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Henderson, office, now, But Bill didn't move. He couldn't. He just stood there, frozen, as the weight of what he'd done started to sink in. The office was a war zone of awkward silence and wide-eyed stares. Officers in the hallway froze mid-step, their necks craning as if they'd stumbled into a crime scene. Bill Henderson stood like a statue, his face cycling through confusion, denial, and pure dread. Across from him, Marcus Williams, still calm as ever, held the room in the palm of his hand. "Wait, what?" Bill's voice cracked, his hands gripping the armrests of his chair like they were the only things keeping him from collapsing. You can't be serious." Marcus didn't flinch. He slid a document onto the desk, the official seal practically glowing under the cheap fluorescent lights. "My name is Marcus Williams, federal investigator assigned to review civil rights violations in this precinct. And as of this moment, Officer Henderson, you are under arrest." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. "Asterisk arrest, asterisk," Bill barked out, his voice shaky. He tried to laugh it off, but it came out sounding like a cough. "You're joking, right? There's got to be a misunderstanding here." "Oh, there's no misunderstanding," Marcus said, his tone smooth and cutting. "Your file speaks for itself. Fabricated charges, intimidation tactics, and a laundry list of complaints that mysteriously went nowhere. I was sent to investigate. What I didn't expect was for you to hand me a confession on a silver platter." Bill's face went pale. He turned toward Chief Kane, desperation oozing from every pore. "Chief, come on. This guy set me up. I didn't know who he was." Kane crossed his arms, his face carved from stone. "That's the problem, Henderson. You don't care who anyone is. You just see what you want to see." Bill staggered a step back. "I can fix this. No," Marcus cut him off sharply. "You're done." He nodded toward Todd and the other officers hovering by the door. "Take him into custody." Bill's mouth fell open as two younger officers hesitated before moving toward him. "You're really going to let them do this, Chief, after everything I've done for this department?" Kane's voice dropped, cold and final. "You did this to yourself, Bill." The room turned into a flurry of motion. Bill was grabbed by the arms and pulled toward the door, his protests fading into frantic murmurs. Officers watched with a mix of shock, relief, and maybe even a little satisfaction. The man who always acted untouchable had just been touched. Hard. The following weeks were anything but quiet. Marcus Williams wasn't just here for Bill. He was here to clean house. And clean house he did. The precinct's dusty files were pulled apart, case by case. Turns out Bill had been sloppy for years. Arrests made without evidence, people locked up because they looked guilty, and files full of contradictions he thought no one would ever read. "Half these charges are garbage," Marcus muttered one day, shaking his head at a particularly ridiculous report. "This stops now." Under Marcus's leadership, the Wilkstown station transformed. Officers who followed Bill's example were suspended or dismissed. The rest, those who had spent years walking on eggshells, finally exhaled, grateful for the fresh air. New rules were put in place: transparency, accountability, community outreach, things the town hadn't seen in decades. Officers started listening instead of barking orders. People who'd once crossed the street to avoid the station began to cautiously step inside, knowing they'd be treated fairly. "He's a force of nature," one officer whispered to another, as they watched Marcus address the team. "It's like he rebuilt the place from the ground up." "You kidding?" the other replied, shaking his head. "He saved us from ourselves." As for Bill Henderson, his story ended where so many of his victims had started, behind bars. The courtroom was packed the day he was sentenced, and the judge didn't pull punches. "You abused your badge, your power, and the trust of your community. You will face the consequences." The moment the gavel hit, it was over. Bill sat slumped in his chair, his bravado gone, replaced with something small and hollow. Marcus didn't stick around for applause. That wasn't his style. By the time Wilkstown found its balance, he was already on to the next fight. But the legacy he left behind? It stuck. The station was cleaner, stronger, and fairer than it had ever been. People in town started to trust the badge again, and officers wore it with pride instead of arrogance. And every now and then, someone would whisper his name. That man? Marcus Williams? He didn't just change the station. He gave this town its dignity back. How would you have handled this situation if you were in Marcus's shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you or someone you know ever experienced something like this? Let us know. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to see more stories that matter. This story was created to shine a light on real issues and inspire change. Together we can make the world a better, fairer place. Your voice matters. Your opinion makes a difference. ***.